you're hiding things, you're not living in truth. And if you're not living in truth, you're exhausting yourself living in a lie. Every one of those things that you're that's new too. So every one of those things that you're doing, you're living a lie that's tapping your energy. Our big idea today is, she's right. The slides don't match up. That's last week's. All right. Apparently we need someone in charge of the Pro Presenter too. By the way, it's the same guy right now that's in charge of all those things. It's me. Our big idea is that you just have to listen to me. Jesus doesn't wait for you to clean up your life before he comes looking for you. He walks straight into your shame and offers you living water. This is the good news and the big idea for today. Jesus doesn't wait for you to clean up your life before he comes looking for you. He walks straight into your shame and offers you living water. The woman at the well in today's gospel had become really, really good at hiding. Did you guys get the text about the homework assignment? Like I sent you a link on YouTube. Did you watch the scene from The Chosen of Jesus and the Samaritan woman? Probably one of the most poignant scenes in that series. One of the most well done, well written. I think it's true biblically. I mean, they added extra parts, but I don't think anything straight. It's beautiful. That was your homework for today. And the story is loaded. That story is loaded because she comes to the well alone at noon during the hottest part of the day, the worst time to go to the well for water. Nobody did that. If you were going to lug buckets of water, you would go early in the morning, yes? Like where it's cool, and then you're not going to be a sweaty mess by the time you're done. Or you do it late at night, because morning was community, evening was community. Noon was for people who wanted to avoid community. Wanted to just do it by themselves, wanted to be unseen, were ashamed. This lady at the well wasn't simply thirsty, she was hiding. She was thirsty and ashamed, this woman. And then it gets deeper because Jesus shouldn't even be talking to this chick. She's Samaritan, she's a woman, she's a social outcast, she's morally complicated. Jesus should be steering far clear of a person like that. A person such a rabbi, a teacher, a leader, a pastor, a priest, should be steering far clear of anyone with these problems. And if John 4 happened today, where would we be surprised to find Jesus sitting down for an hour-long conversation? Where would we be shocked to find Jesus? At an AA meeting? In a prison visiting room? At a homeless encampment? At a drag show? At the mosque over on Velp? At a biker convention or a furry convention? If he was there, we'd be like, oh my gosh, why is Jesus there? I mean, it's okay that he gets me, I'm a sinner, but like, he shouldn't be at a furry convention. FurryCon 2026. I did that in such a way that I seemed like I was insulting, and I didn't mean to. I just felt like that's what a furry would do. Jesus went into spaces religion avoided. To reach people, religion avoids. Not everyone comes to the door. Not everyone enters through the doors of a church. Not everyone comes to your Christian coffee shop. Not everyone, you know what I mean? Not everyone's coming to your Bible study. Jesus went to places and spaces that religion avoided to meet the people that were being avoided. Every cultural line says, walk around her, go around her, avoid her. Jesus walks towards her. And that's already the gospel. If people say the gospel, and you're wondering, I don't even understand what the gospel is, that's the gospel. Jesus walks towards her. In John 4, 1 through 6. See, that's there. Isn't that the weirdest thing? I'm looking at Chelsea as though she would know, and she's like, I don't know why you're even looking at me right now, because I didn't have anything to do with it. I'm just clicking the button. Anyway. So when Jesus knew that the Pharisees had heard that he was making more disciples than John and was baptizing them, Jesus himself didn't baptize people. It was the disciples who were doing it. He left Judea and went back to Galilee. He had to go through Samaria, and he came to a town in Samaria named Sychar, and it was near the place where Jacob it was near the place which Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, tired from the journey, sat down there by the well, and it was midday. Jesus goes where religious people won't. It says here he had to go through Samaria. Most Jews would walk around Samaria because they were filthy people. Can you imagine if you had to go to Minneapolis, right, and you're on Highway 29, but you didn't want anything to do with Pulaski. That Pulaski was a bunch of Polacks, and you didn't want anything to do with Polacks. And so you went all the way up, went through Peshtigo or something because you wanted to stay away from the Polacks? Can you imagine? Polacks are filthy. They eat those punchkis and kielbasa and pierogies. I'm mostly Polish. This is where I'm coming from. I was just trying to think. Sauerkraut and cabbage, gross. We're going to stay away from the Polacks. Can you imagine that? And that's what people did in Jesus this time. They would go around Samaria. They didn't even want to step on the same ground as Samaritans. So that's as crazy as us today thinking, I don't even want to go to Pulaski. But Jesus wasn't following geography. Jesus wasn't following culture. He was following grace. How many people have decided that church just isn't for them because Christians keep walking around them and avoiding them because they eat pierogi? Yak shamash. See, I know that. I think that means how you're doing, I think. Anyway. But how many people are we walking around? How many people are we avoiding because we think, listen, what I'm doing, Jesus has forgiven me what I'm doing, but you're doing this whole other thing. And so I need to stay away from that. So are we avoiding people that are divorced or gay or addicted or tattooed? Former church people, people with questions, people who voted differently, people who smell like cigarettes, people who with pronouns that confuse us. Everybody else keeps walking around those people, and Jesus walks right at them. Why? How? It's hard, you guys. I had a conversation with a friend this week, and we were talking about LGBTQ stuff, and I'm like, yes, I got to walk right at that. I don't know how. I don't know. I didn't come up this way. I didn't, I don't know how. But I got to keep walking. I got to walk right at it, even if I don't know what I'm doing. Because this is what Jesus did. Jesus wasn't supposed to be at the well in Samaria talking to a 5-time married, right, Samaritan woman. He was not supposed to be there. He, of course, knew what to do. I have no idea, but I'm going to keep walking that way. Religion builds fences, and Jesus just keeps opening gates. So I'd rather be a gate than a fence. Wouldn't you? John 4:6-9 says this. Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, tired from the journey, sat down there by the well. It was about midday. A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus spoke to her. Give me a drink, he said. The disciples had gone off into the town to buy food. What? Said the Samaritan woman. You, a Jew, asking for a drink from me, a woman, and a Samaritan woman at that? Jews, you see, didn't have any dealings with the Samaritans. If only you... Oh, wait, am I supposed to stop there? I am. Sorry. Jesus intentionally goes to where everyone else avoids. We talked about this. The woman isn't searching for Jesus. Jesus isn't at the temple, isn't at church, isn't doesn't have a YouTube channel, and she goes and finds him. Jesus goes to find her. Jesus searches for her. Because people today are still hiding. Some of us are still hiding. And if we're here and hiding, how many more people are out there and hiding after divorce? After addiction, after church hurt, after failure, after embarrassment. How many people are hiding? Still needing hope, still needing the gospel, but now they're just hiding. The gospel begins with God's pursuit, not ours. Because Jesus turns out that he names what she keeps hiding. If only you'd known God's gift, replied Jesus, and who it is that's saying this to you, give me a drink, you'd have asked him, and he would have given you living water. But sir, replied the woman, you haven't got a bucket, and the well's so deep, how are you thinking of getting living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this well and drank of it himself with his sons and his animals? Everyone, so then Jesus says, everyone who drinks this water, Jesus replied, will get thirsty again. But anyone who drinks the water I'll give them won't ever be thirsty again. No, the water I'll give them will become a spring of water welling up to the life of God's new age. Golly. Sir, the woman said, give me this water, then I won't be thirsty anymore, and I won't have to come here to draw water from the well. This isn't just Jesus angling to expose her sin. He's not trying to get her so he can say, aha! It's about exposing her thirst. It's about exposing her need and her hurt and her shame. Jesus begins talking about water, and she keeps misunderstanding it. And so he's patient with her. He expresses to her the good news. He paints a word picture of hope and relief, respite and peace. And she's, as the kids say, not picking up what he's laying down. She's not getting it. So he pivots and he says this. Well then, said Jesus to the woman, go and call your husband and come here. I haven't got a husband, said the woman. You're telling me you haven't got a husband, is how I would read that. You're telling me, replied Jesus, the fact is that you've had 5 husbands. And the 6th one is a guy that you have now that's not a husband. So you were speaking the truth. Well, sir, said the woman, I can see that you're a prophet. Jesus tries to get to the point. Go call your husband. And it's such a strange turn. He's talking about living water and all this other stuff. He's like, go call your husband. Except it's not that strange of a turn. Jesus has been moving towards this moment the whole conversation. The whole conversation to get her understanding where she's coming from, where she's at, what her position is. Shame says to hide, like my cookies at night. My friends, Jimmy and April are getting married on this coming Saturday. I'm really excited about that. And so I'm taking pictures at their wedding, and I'm also officiating their wedding, if that's still true. So there will be no pictures of the ceremony. I'm just kidding. Right. Anyway, so they came today, and they had a balance of stuff that they owed me for the pictures and stuff, and so he paid me in cash. And if you're outside when we were talking about cash and stuff, cash in the business means, listen, no one knows about this. And you might think I'm talking about the government, which I am. But I did this last week. But I'm also talking about, my wife. Oh. My holy cats. What can I do with, I'm going to go to Fleet Farm. I don't even need anything, but you got all that cash in your pocket. I'm going to Fleet Farm. Buy some Milwaukee tools or something. That's my shame. That's a shame for me. And shame says hide, and Jesus says, no, come here. Shame says you're disgusting, and Jesus says you're seen. I see you. I see that you've got your 6 husbands, bro. I see it. It's okay. I'm still here. I'm actually here on Samaritan land, talking to a Samaritan woman in the middle of a hot day. I'm here for you. Jesus never asked the woman, why did you do that? How come you're living that way? How come you've got multiple husbands and you're sleeping with every, how come? How come? Tell me how come. Jesus doesn't do that. He never demands, explain yourself. He doesn't interrogate her. He simply demonstrates, listen, I know you completely. And I love you. I care about you. I know, bro, I know about the cookies, man. I know, and I care about you. I have good news for you. If you take the water that I have, you'll never be thirsty again. Don't you want that kind of relief from this? We talked about how exhausted you must be for living a lie all the time. I'm not talking about big lies or even little lies. Cookies are little lies. But I'm living in this lie. And I've got a bunch of those with God. And I'm living in this lie, and Jesus is saying, listen, you don't have to be thirsty anymore. I see you, and it's okay. I know you completely. religion seems to change the subject. She says this, she says, so tell me, this is the woman, why is it that you Jews insist that Jerusalem is the only place of worship? If I want to be close to God, I got to go to Jerusalem. I got to climb that hill. I got to enter through those gates. I got to bring this dove or this goat or this whatever. While we Samaritans claim that it's here at Mount Gerizim, right? At Jacob's well, where our ancestors worship. Why do we think it's on this hill and you think it's on that hill, Jewish people? Aren't we doing the same thing right this morning? Or just half a block away is St. Mary's. Do we really believe that this is the way, the truth, and the life? Not over there. And they're probably looking at us and saying, well, I mean, it's nice that they pay rent, but they're not going to heaven. Like religion. Like gross. Gross. Jesus replied, believe me, dear woman, the time is coming when it will no longer matter whether you worship the Father on this mountain or in Jerusalem. Do you see it there? And these are red letters, if you had a red letter Bible. The time is coming. He's the time. The time is now, where it doesn't matter whether you worship the Father on this mountain or in Jerusalem. You Samaritans know very little about the one you worship, while we Jews, while we Jews know all about him, for salvation comes through the Jews. But the time is coming indeed, it's here now, when true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father is looking for those who will worship him that way, for God is spirit. So those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. The woman said, I know the Messiah is coming. The one is called Christ. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus turns to her. I am the Messiah. Oh, cats. Like, maybe this seems falsely emotional for you. For me, that's everything. Because both the Jews and Samaritans were waiting for the Messiah to come. And he's there. And sometimes we're waiting for a Messiah to come. And he's already here. We're waiting for it. If I could just get this far. If I could just get this job. If I could just get this house. If I could just get this scooter. If I could just, whatever. If I could just date this person. If I could just have a kid. If I could just, whatever. And we think, if I could just. And how long are you going to wait? And how much life are you building on lies trying to chase after that? And Jesus said, I'm already here. Everything you need is already here. What you think you're chasing is false. And I love that. And I feel like this might be the funniest moment in the chapter because Jesus has touched the deepest wound in her life. She says, which mountain is the correct one? It's almost like, anyway, enough about the water. Let's talk about theology. And don't we do that? Don't we do that? Let's talk about theology. This morning, I was telling a story to my friends about being in Menasha to take some pictures, and they were praying the Holy Mary. Nope, it's the Hail Mary. And I was like, theology, man. So weird, right? But I can be so critical of that. So that's what she did. When she can't quite put the pieces together in her mind about the good news and how the good news is for her, she's like, well, let's talk about the theology, though. Your mountain and my mountain. And we laugh because we do the same thing. God starts getting close, right? We start to break down and be available to him. God starts getting intimate with us, and suddenly we're asking about politics. Well, what about, they're red, or they're blue, or they're green. Green used to be a thing. Remember that? There was like a Green Party. Wasn't there a Green Party? Or something like that, where like you were super environmental. It wasn't just the Democrats. It was like, am I making this up right now? Like Greenpeace, wasn't Greenpeace a thing? There was ships and there was, everyone's just staring at me right now. Are you guys awake? What's happening? Thank you, Jimmy. We start getting worried when it starts to get too close, when we start to feel it. And so well, what about their politics? I just got a shirt this week that says PBS, viewers like me, and I love that shirt. There was a time, years ago, if I saw someone with a PBS shirt on or an NPR shirt on, Bleeding Heart Liberal Public Radio, stupid. Can you imagine? Like I was diametrically opposed to them because they were in favor of public schools and public education and public radio, and I was like, no, down with that. And so we do that. Politics and denominations, worship styles. Oh my gosh, they only do Bethel worship. Oh my gosh, they only do Elevation. I heard that they're doing Hillsong songs. We want to get into dinosaurs and marks of the beast. Should women be in ministry? We start picking fights because God's getting too close to us emotionally. Let me get out of the emotions and get back to the thing that makes me different, or that is my theology is based upon. Anything except our own hearts. The closer Jesus gets to our hearts, the more tempted we are to change the subject. And that's essentially what the woman at the well is doing. It's what we do. Let me change the subject. Yeah, well, you Jews only think you can go to the temple. He just got done asking her about her husband's situation. Yeah, well, this is Jacob's well. Okay. Anything to change the subject. And then Jesus says something really incredible at the end of that. He said, God is spirit, and those who worship God must be led by the Spirit to worship him according to the truth. I wonder if it's just days after I do a wedding that I run out of, like I feel like I need to sit down for a second. But I wonder about this idea of truth. If I worship in truth, what does that mean? Amanda got up and she was talking about uppy, and how that. My dad would talk about this is also a symbol of surrender. Some people talk about how it's like a funnel. Like you just open your arms and it's a funnel so God can. There's a lot of illustrations about that. For me, to worship in truth, specifically as it applies to worship, I think I want to strip away any sense I have that I don't want to embarrass myself in music worship. I don't sing all that great, but like I love to worship, so I'm just going to sing it out. But then that transcends my life into other parts of how I worship with my life. I don't care what I look like. I don't care what people think of me when I'm doing it. If I live out worship, if I live worshiping, I don't care what people think. I don't care if people think I'm weird. I don't care if people think that it's stupid. I just don't care. I want to worship in truth. And I guess the older I get, or the closer to God I get, the more I realize that truth is everything. To live in truth is everything. God's not looking for people in the right place, not at temples, not in mountains. He's looking for people who will worship in spirit and in truth. Honest. And if there's one thing you could say about how we get together, it's honest. There's no performative action happening here. There's no pretentiousness. There's none of it. We talk to each other straight up. If Michael's having a bad day, I know about it. You know what I mean? And if I'm having a bad day, like Pat knows about it. And so this is just how we live. There's strength in truth. There's power in truth. Truth without pretending. Listen, we don't exist as a church because we've got it all figured out. Like we have faith. We exist because we're tired of pretending that we do have it all figured out. I know some of you don't come all the time. Some of you are like, sometimes here, sometimes not. I totally get that. That's truthful. Like you're just being honest about it. I wish you were here all the time. Lori Chapman, I wish you were here all the time because of the joy that your face brings me. But I mean, like, you got 16 kids, and they're all like in 12 sports, and like, I get it. And so don't think that you can't come because you're not here every week. But boy, what a blessing when you are here. And you don't need to be here to be my friend. We're friends off-site, right? I mean, we're like, yeah, I should have been there, but I was at a wedding. Yeah, a show that I wasn't in got sold out? Shocking. Yeah. They were at Comedy City last night. A long time ago, I used to play in Comedy City. Anyway, we don't have it figured out. We're just trying to figure it out. You know, I don't have a tight schedule. We try to start at 9, right? I try to be done by 10. We try to have 3 songs. We try to have some structure to it, but we're mistaking that kind of perfection or that kind of timeliness for religion or for sacredness or for holiness. And I think the holiest thing we can be is honest with one another and truthful with one another and real with one another. We exist because we're tired of pretending that we have it all figured out. Let me close with this. So the woman left her water jar, went into the town and spoke to the people. Come on, she said, come and see a man who told me everything I ever did. You don't think he can be the Messiah, do you? So they left the town and were coming toward him. I think that's the hinge. She was there to collect water, left her jars, and went back to the town and said, you guys got to come and see. In fact, she does this in that scene. You guys got to come and see. You have to see this. And I think that's important for us because we should be asking, where are you at? What are you struggling with? What are you ashamed of? What hurt do you have? You should come and see. There's a different way. Because her deepest thirst, the woman's deepest thirst wasn't physical, it was spiritual and it was emotional. And people are looking for that. We're trying to find it at the bar. The only thing more than churches that we have in Green Bay are bars. And both tell me that we're in a community that's looking for hope. Both tell me that. Some people are trying to find it in a church. Some people are trying to find it at a bar. But neither, we're thirsty. I feel like that's transformation. And so she goes into town and says, look what I found. Come and see what I found. Not because someone told her to evangelize, because shame no longer owned her. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we know, is Jesus changing someone? Not because they suddenly become perfect, because they stop hiding. There's people in this room that I've pointed out, that I've watched you grow in the last year, 2 years, 3 years. And you might not think that you're growing. I see it. You're not hiding. And it's beautiful for me to see. You're not becoming perfect. You just stopped hiding. And the Samaritan woman came to the well hiding and she left known. We want people to come to this experience, to the church experience, and leave feeling known and loved. Because when you're finally convinced that Jesus knows everything about you, you no longer have to spend your life pretending to be somebody else. And there's a lot of freedom and a lot of liberty in that. We've got a handful of questions that my friend Chelsea is going to pull up that we have for our table discussion. If you're at a table by yourself and you want to be by yourself, that's great. If you'd rather join another table, no one's going to turn you away. Sit down and speak with someone. We'll take 15 minutes. We'll go through this. Then we'll get back together. We're going to have communion today, and then we'll get out of here.